All right, so hello. This is session 1 of 2 for Threadbare, which is a stitchpunk RPG with a great cover. One of my favorite RPG covers. It was the one in today's Twitter thread about the best covers. Put one up. I was torn between it and Cryptomancer. So this is a game that came out in Kickstarter a few years ago from Stephanie Bryant. And I'll talk about what that means, what the game means in just a second. I am Lowell. I've decided this year I'm actually going to say my name before I start recording on these videos here, before I do that. This is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. We're here in 2019. Gauntlet Hangouts is an online gaming community, and we have 100-some games on the calendar this month. We've got a blog. We've got podcasts. We've got a zine. We've got all kinds of amazing things. We've got a really active Twitter feed. Jason is giving away some things in the Twitter feed this month, and we also have a Facebook group, as I understand it, as well. You can find out more about all that at gauntlet-rpg.com. Because this is part of the Gauntlet, we use safety tools. So one of the things is that we're going to be in a game that we're going to be kind of figuring out the tone for. If we hit material that we find objectionable or problematic, or even hits on a particular trigger, we use the X card to mark that. We've got a couple of ways to demonstrate the X card in play. Can mention it in the chat. We can, there's a prompt for that in the Roll for Your Party. Or we can do the visible sign. If we hit something that you're uncomfortable with and you want to do that, we will edit past it. I may ask for the frame of it just so I know what we're getting past. I will tell you that there are things I will hit for my own X card at times. They're sort of visceral things. Rich has seen me a couple of times when particular teeth descriptions have come up in a game. I will X card that so fast. That actually freaks me out. And I am not afraid to admit that. And if something occurs, some material or tone that you're like, the first time you're like, I'm okay with that, but then later on it starts to bug you, you can always X card it later. It's not like passing it by the first time, so it means you can't do that. We just want to make sure, because we're in distant places. Some of us have played together, some of us haven't, that we're all comfortable and we have those tools available to us. Xcard, again, is the most basic tool. I use it because for these shorter online games. So Threadbare. Threadbare is a stitchpunk game. We are going to be playing toys, and we are toys in a kind of post-apocalyptic world. The people are gone. We don't even kind of think about humans or people or things like that. The toys just exist in this world. We don't know why they're able to walk around and talk and do all these things. They just are. It's one of these strange accepted things that we just roll with. So these toys are in an environment where the toys themselves have kind of built some things, but then there are human-sized, places and distances and all of that existing in the world. Obviously Toy Story is a kind of a touchstone for this, but also the movie 9, if you've seen that, that's an animated film. That's another good touchstone for this. The Island of Misfit Toys is another one for the idea of things kind of being put together. If you want interesting visual inspiration for this, I recommend Googling Frankentoy, which is actually apparently an organized arts and crafts project that various places do, where they take discarded toys and put them together. So now in this world, there are, and in this setting, there you have a set of 3 simple stats. As with other Powered by the Apocalypse games, we use 2d6 to resolve that. You're going to have a very basic move based on your playbook type, and then you're going to get to pick a form, which is going to kind of tell us about what your toy looks like. There are a couple mechanical things I want to mention. Sometimes you'll have stuff with a capital S. Stuff is raw parts to do things. You either have stuff or you don't have stuff. And stuff can be made into a thing. When you make it into a specific thing, then we kind of give it a name. We make it into an object. We say that. And sometimes you'll need specific things to do particular actions that you want to accomplish. But generally, stuff is a binary. There's a checkbox for that, whether you have it or not on your sheet. You'll also notice on the character sheet that there is hold that is listed there. Usually you get hold from taking damage. When you take damage, you damage a part. And you can then fix that part up later. When you come up with your character, we're going to write down your parts. And then depending on your playbook and your form, you're going to get to use that hold to do certain things. So that's what hold is. We've got a little drop-down box to mark that on our character, where it says description and list parts, where those parts are literally the parts that you have, and we'll track how they get damaged. There are various repair moves. You got the minor fix-up. We got take a breather there in the thing. Normally, people don't run out of parts, but if you do, then you kind of become shapeless, and there's some things for that. Now, what I do want to talk about is the tone for the game, and let me get to the little part of the book here where she describes this. So Stephanie has 3 modes for the game. There's fluffy, which means there's no combat, and conflicts, no conflict can be solved by violence. That's a G-rated movie. On the other end of the spectrum, there is dented, frequent combat. This is our dark, real, apocalyptic kind of toy survival game. 9, that movie would definitely be in the dented, because that's a pretty horrible movie for what happens to the protagonist in that one. But what we're going to be playing is what they call scruffy mode. And scruffy mode is a little bit like fluffy. Some conflicts can be resolved with sort of direct physical interaction, can be solved with violence. It's PG-13. Conflicts may be solved by other means, by contests, by dance-offs, by challenging people to games, that kind of thing. Violence kind of is a last resort, but it can happen in the context of this game. So I just wanted to tell you that is the tone that I am going for. Now, with me having talked just a whole bunch there, what I do want to ask is about any kind of lines or veils, things that you definitely don't want to see on the table in the context of this game, or things you definitely would like to make sure we kind of go to, we fade to dark on those kinds of things. This is a little bit different than other games because we are dealing with toys and toy characters, but I wanted to ask about that. I have a friend, Kenny. He will always draw a line around spiders, like hard. That's his line. We can't do spiders at the table anymore. Because as I found out, my friend of many years, in fact, is afraid spiders, didn't find that out till after a whole big run of sort of Shelob style stuff. But anyway, Stephen, I'm going to start with you. Anything that off the top of your head you want to line or veil here?
So typically, I would say it's sexual violence or violence against children. Well, I don't think we'll have any of that. Other than that, the only thing I can think of that does come up that's kind of in the theme of this game is like graphic cannibalism.
Okay.
So I'm fine with, this toy takes this piece and puts it on. That's great. But I'm going to chow down and eat your little pieces. That's a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems fun, and that's a reasonable line to draw there. Centaur, anything off the top of your head?
Not that I can think of
okay.
Right now.
And that's a fair answer. And if anything comes up, feel free to
Yeah,
say.
we got the X card.
Owen, anything from you?
Nothing I can think of that's in the bounds of what the game should be.
Okay, awesome. And Michael, anything?
Yeah, same here. I think I really appreciate the sort of advanced legwork that Stephanie did with the different game modes, and I think you tell me Scruffy, and I know what we're going for. So if anything comes up, I know what to do.
Awesome. So what I'd like you all to do is I want to check and go around and see what playbook and form you're thinking of. Then I'll have you. We'll kind of do that character creation process, just to make sure that nobody's like taking the same form as someone else. So, Stephen, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking of taking the sock playbook
Okay.
with the finger puppets form.
That is a fun one. They get to establish minor facts about things. Yep, absolutely. And with the finger puppets, your parts will classically be all of the little starting characters that you have for the finger puppets, and the thing it says you can have to 10 of those. So that is fine. Stentor, what are you thinking?
So I would love to be the bunch of little guys from the Mecha playbook.
Absolutely. And that can be an ensemble of different things. They give again up to 12 starting parts. The classic one for that is, of course, little green plastic toy soldiers, but a barrel of monkeys, or a box of D&D figures. All of these things could be a bunch of little guys. That's great.
Yeah, my thought was to be a bunch of little Lego Vikings from like a Viking ship set, but we've lost our ship, but we still got all the little Viking guys.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, with the little helmets and stuff. Awesome. Owen, what are you thinking?
Well, I was originally leaning towards, it was a coin toss, and one half of that coin just got taken. So
good.
I'm leaning towards then the mecha more than meets the eye.
Ooh, okay. And more than meets the eye. The Transformers there. And you got 6 starting parts there. Awesome. That is a classic one. Can be small, big.
Yeah, I'm thinking just one of those kind of destructor set sort of things. It starts as a bulldozer and then turns into a big bot sort of thing.
Awesome. Which brings us to you, Michael.
I decided I'm going to be a softie, but I'm still trying to determine exactly which form I want to take.
There's some good ones there.
So I'm going to think about that for a minute.
Okay. Well, why doesn't everybody go through? You're going to assign a 2, a +2, a +1, and a -1 to those stats. You can write in your moves, and can copy and paste those from the playbooks page, and start writing in your name and your parts. All right. So it is very appropriate that as I'm playing Threadbare that my pen is starting to die. But I'm going to take notes. And I want to go through and I'm going to work my way left to right across our character keeper here to have people introduce themselves, describe themselves. And I'm going to ask some questions about that when we come to you. So I think we are then starting with the crew of the Seabrick. So tell us about the crew of the Seabrick.
So we are a group of Viking Lego figures who still have most of our original parts. There's like one that has an astronaut helmet and a few with oddly colored legs. But we were the all part of this Viking ship set, but we've lost our ship. But we've stuck together as a crew. And so I've got a list of Viking names there. So Sven is the captain of this crew. And then we've got Olaf, Halfdan, Harold, Thorbjorn, Thorfinn, Thorvald, Thorgrim, Skullgrim, and Knut.
Knut.
Yeah.
And does Sven rule with an iron hand, or is this a more companionable longship crew?
I think Sven is just barely keeping it together because Vikings like to have fun when they're doing Viking stuff. So he's just barely keeping everyone in line and keeping them focused on whatever they're trying to do.
And when you kind of awoke, was the ship already gone, or did you lose the ship in some incident?
Yeah, I think the ship was already gone.
Okay.
We know that the ship is out there, and it's in our hearts that we had this ship, and it was called the Seabrick, which I'm trying to figure out how to translate into Old Norse. But we've never actually seen it in real life since becoming awake.
It's idealized. You didn't even find the box that would have had a picture on it.
I think we did find the box.
Oh, okay.
And that's part of how we know. So we found the box and we found the instruction manual of how to build it, but we haven't actually found the ship itself.
Do you think, have you in your travels, the crew, have you met other Lego set crews, or have you just seen the detritus and leftovers from them?
I think we've come across several different Lego sets, and we've had some battles with them. We fought some
ninjas and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we fought some ninjas. We fought some astronauts. We fought a happy town group where there was the person walking their dog and the firefighter and stuff.
Now, I take it also that you have met people made from other kinds of bricks. Which, I mean, is that a companionable thing? Is that a rival thing? I mean, what do you think of these Duplos and these others of your ilk?
I think that when it's just us together, we sometimes butt heads, but in the grand scheme of things, if another toy messed with, a Duplo or, knockoff brand Legos, we would step up and defend them.
All right. That seems fair. Thank you very much. I am excited to see what the crew does today, which brings us to Pillar, our mecha. Owen, can you please tell us about Pillar?
Pillar's a big, imagine toddler size for hand-sized bulldozer that can does transform and have hands and is a good go-to builder sort and all that. But obviously is showing a bit of wear and tear and isn't as seems reticent here and there about, making friends.
Does Pillar have most of its original parts, or has it actually started to replace some bits?
There's definitely some off color, looks like it might have been from a different toy set. That's actually where he goes by his name, because there's a part on one of the struts that says Pillar, and then it's in yellow, and then it goes down to the green.
Nice. Awesome. And the transformation from this bulldozer to robot, is that smooth? Is it rough? Is it noisy? Is it quiet? Is it painful?
It's a little painful now. It's always supposed to be noisy. He can try to make it quiet, but it just feels wrong.
Okay. And what form does he prefer to stay in? Either, or is he driven to move back and forth?
He prefers to stay in bulldozer form. He likes to have the surprise of being able to pop up and have hands and reach things that people think, other toys think you shouldn't be able to reach. So he prefers to be in bulldozer form, but it's not like he's going to really resist somebody saying, "Could you just reach up and grab that?" if they already know. But he's cautious. He's been in a couple scraps.
Let me ask you, within your sort of universe of Transformers, do you suppose are there like other types? Do you have a rivalry, or is it all just considered one thing there?
There's definitely a rivalry with the flying transforming bots. The flying bots and the ground bots don't get along with each other, but he's got a particular. He gets kind of crabby if there's like nicer looking sports car sort of transforming bot. Those flashier ones, he gets.
So the old lines of Autobots and Decepticons have broken down in a new paradigm, but instead it's Aerobot, ground bot. There's a whole different set of lines there. Okay, that seems fair. What color is Pillar?
Mostly that kind of day-glow green with patches of that yellow hiding in here and there. There's a bit of a red panel in the back from patching up.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so that brings us to the Philosophers Guild. Stephen, please tell us about the Philosophers Guild.
Yes. So the Philosophers Guild is a group of philosopher finger puppets along with some animal finger puppets. I've got some pictures on the sheet.
Those are great.
I'm labeling my different parts as the thinker and the leader and the talker and stuff like that. So let's see. The owl is the leader. The deer is kind of the strong man, the guard. Tolstoy is the thinker. Shakespeare is the talker. Dickens is the memory. Wolf is the artist. And the fox is the sneak.
Excellent. And how did it come that these two sets of finger puppets merged into one collective?
So they used to be a large group of them individually. They were separate groups. However, their numbers dwindled until they weren't really self-sufficient any longer. And then one day, they came across each other while exploring in the forest and realized that they had complementary. I think it was actually Tolstoy who realized that they had complementary characteristics. It was like, oh, you're good at telling us what to do. I'm good at figuring out what the best path is, so we should team up. Yeah.
I like that. Let me ask you, amongst the philosophers, you said that their numbers had dwindled. Who was the most recent lost finger puppet philosopher?
Gandhi.
How did Gandhi, the finger puppet, vanish?
I wouldn't say that he vanished. He left. he found another group of toys. They were not finger puppets, and I think they were army men. They were army men, and he decided he could show them the way.
That makes sense. That is awesome. And what cloth? Looks like to me the
Cloth and felt.
cloth and felt and so on. Good condition, a little ragged. How would you imagine?
Most of them are in good condition. I think the deer is ragged. So he's got a little bit of, he's showing a little bit of wear around the edge of the felt. It's getting a little thin.
All right. That sounds perfect, which brings us to Bongo the Clown. Michael.
Yes. So the first idea I had was actually a bunch of finger puppets in the circus troupe. But I like the Philosophers Guild a lot more. I just realized that my microphone is like all the way to the side where I moved it before. So I'm just going to move that real quick. Okay. Is this a little bit better?
Yeah, a little sharper.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've condensed that down just to be Bongo the Clown. Bongo the Clown is real. So he still has memories of the world before and having a child who owned him and things like that. So he's a little bit worn down. Yeah, and if anybody has a problem with clowns, I can change. Especially creepy old antique doll clowns. So tell me, with this, what does Bongo actually look like? How big and such? I think he's probably like a little bit larger than the Philosophers Guild puppets, but probably not as big as Pillar, if I had to guess. Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle. Okay. And what does Bongo look like?
So I'm putting a picture up here of what he looks like, but basically he has a porcelain head and like sort of a traditional kind of clown paint on there, but then he has like a stuffing filled body with like a clown costume on. I think he has really limber limbs, like he's very acrobatic, so he can move around like that a lot. But he's got a tattoo that says "Betty loves Bongo," and I think that's sort of a very important piece of him.
Now, he does remember the time before he awakened in that world before. Is he cynical now? Is he hopeful? What is his emotional state at this point?
Well, I think he's a very sad clown. And I think that he tries to hide that, though, and tries to put on a happy face for his friends. And is kind of hopeful for them.
Keeping your tears from us, understand. And what he's been active and moving around longer than maybe the others. What do you think of other toys who don't remember that time before?
I think that he sort of pities them, that he thinks that the best possible thing would be for everyone to have a child, but that's not really a thing anymore. There are no more children, so I think he's kind of struggling to find a new purpose in this world.
Is he pretty certain that there are no kids out there?
Well, he hasn't seen any.
Okay, that's a fair thing. I
think it's been long enough that he's given up on the hope of finding a new one.
Okay. All right, that gives me good stuff to work with there for Bongo. So with those characters in mind, we're going to turn our attention to another tab because we're going to talk about the machine. So there is a machine tab. I'm going to move us over to that. I'm going to, at least on my screen. You can follow if you want. You are on a machine. You're on a journey with something that you need to deliver to the destination. And when we start, things are in a bad place when we start out. And so what we're going to do is, as a group, we're going to pick some choices. We've got lists there. If we want, if there's something else that occurs to you that's even better, we can put that on there. And we're even going to set some stats for our machine. Our machine has some moves. When you try and outrun someone with the machine, when everybody's on it, you roll speed. And if you succeed, then you outrun them. If you roll 7 to 9, you outrun them, but you lose a little fuel. You use maneuverability for getting through difficult terrain, riding the machine through that. You use fuel to basically keep moving. If you go to below 0 on fuel, then you stop moving. And then there's durability, which measures what happens when something smacks into the machine. So let's talk about the pieces and parts here. We can do stats. We'll do stats at the end, because what we pick here may help us envision that. So I'm going to move around. I'm going to call on particular people to kind of take the lead for answering the question, but everybody else is welcome to jump in with suggestions on that. So Stentor, if I dropped in your lap right now this idea of the machine has one big car, multiple connected cars, or has several unconnected cars, a la a convoy, what would you lean towards?
Gotta unmute myself. I lean towards a convoy.
Okay. What did everybody else? What anybody's strong feelings for or against that? Okay, let's go with that convoy then. We're gonna. Well, so you have a mighty convoy of these cars. We'll come back to what exactly that convoy means once we figure out what the rest of this is. But we know we've got a bunch of pieces. You know, a ragtag band, possibly a Battlestar Galactica type situation. We don't know yet. We'll find out. Let's come then to Owen. Owen, the machine's engine runs on one of these things: flammable gasoline, wood, batteries, laughter.
My initial take is wood.
Okay.
Just because I like it.
Okay. Strong feelings either way, anybody?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So we've got little wood burning thing there. How do you I just crossed out the wrong thing, but that's because that's what I do. So with the wood, do you imagine it is burning? Is it processing it? What do you imagine that looks like for the machines?
I just have this image of it throwing big plumes of sawdust out the back. It just basically looks like we're throwing it in a wood chipper and we're leaving this trail of sawdust behind us.
I love it. I love it. You know, and there are probably people working it like a boiler on a railroad, tossing it in there and then back. Awesome. So now, Stephen, the machine is coveted by one of these characters. Is it Betty the Bloody? Is it Mayor Murder Baby? Is it Bob the Dump Truck? Or is it Raggedy Lynn, the Secret Keeper?
I think it's Mayor Murder Baby.
Absolutely. I think that Mayor Murder Baby is a fine choice. Right there. So, all right. Mayor Murder Baby it is. Got that. Perfect. We'll figure out once we know the cargo, sort of why Mayor Murder Baby is after that. Michael, the machine carries a precious cargo. Is it batteries for mecha? Is it high status softies in mecha? Is it refugees? Is it clean stuffing for softies? Or is it something else?
Which of these would Mayor Murder Baby want the most? Ooh. I think I like batteries for mecha.
Batteries for mecha, like the fresh, clean, just from the carton. They've got the little thing when you push on the side, the little thing shows how much energy's left in them. They're nice and sharp. Okay. Maybe all kinds of sizes, even the precious D cells for the largest of mecha.
Who knows what terror Murder Baby could rot?
Absolutely, absolutely. Could power his entire Murder Baby armada with those, which brings us back to Stentor. Stentor, tell me one thing the machine is: dirty, ugly, smelly, rusted, noisy.
I think we're gonna go with smelly.
Okay, and what does it smell like? What is the smell?
So it smells like burning plastic.
Okay. Just is it sort of the various cars have that smell to them, or is it that the actual sort of wood chipper, is that the smell that's coming off of it?
Yeah, I think that it's like the parts are all rubbing together, and giving off a disturbing burning plastic smell, or at least disturbing to those of us that are made out of plastic.
Exactly. And then Owen, besides being smelly, what is the other thing that the machine is?
I think that the machine is also just dirty.
Dirty. Okay. How so? What is it? Is it mud caked? Is it just stained? What does that look like?
It's just stained. It's a combination. It looks like it could have old marker marks on it from when someone played with it, and then just the wear and tear that a kid puts a toy through. So it's got all sorts of unidentifiable, but obviously not original marks on it that just make it look filthy.
So that brings us to Stephen. Stephen, is the machine a convoy of wheeled vehicles? Is it a convoy of treaded vehicles trundling along? Is it a set of boats? Or is it a bunch of Thomas the Tank Engine style rail cars running separately and unconnected in a convoy on a railroad?
I think it's wheels on a road.
Okay. And they go round and round. That's perfect. That gives a sense. So we've probably got we've got a convoy of cars and trucks and things like that. That the four of you are managing, and that you've got all these batteries jammed into. Michael. So look at these numbers. We've got 2 plus 1s. We've got a 0 and a -1. Which number do you want to assign?
I think that one benefit of these wheeled vehicles in this convoy is that they're very maneuverable.
Okay. So are we going to put a +1 then for that?
I think we will.
All right. So give us a +1 there. All right. And So they are maneuverable. They are able to move around quite quickly. We'll leave an angle. I will pop that up to a 24 point. Look at that. That's a huge number there. All right. Stentor, there's a +1, a 0, and a -1 left.
I want to put the 0 under fuel.
Okay.
I like the idea. We're not stopped yet, but we're on the edge.
Okay. That seems fair. So we've got a 0 there. Now, Owen, we've got a +1 and a -1. Where are these going to go? Which one do you want to assign?
Well, I don't actually want to assign the -1, but I will.
Okay. Speed or durability?
I'm leaning towards durability right now. We're not stopped. We're almost out of fuel, but we've taken some hits.
Okay. And they, you are kind of spread out. So it isn't like you've got one big vehicle. You've got a number of smaller ones here that are together. Okay. So we put the -1 there. And that gives us the +1. Are you happy with that +1 under speed there, Stephen?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Okay. So now we've got some questions here. Stephen, since you kind of were stuck with that last bit there, I'm going to start you with this question. Where is this convoy? This convoy is taking these batteries from Mayor Murder Baby. Mayor Murder Baby wants them. Where are you going? Where is the convoy headed?
We are headed towards a village of other toys to deliver the batteries. This is sort of a medical mission.
Okay.
Because this village needs the batteries very badly, or the whole village will shut down.
So what's this village like? What is unique about it?
It's a safe haven for toys, and I think that some of us have lived there in the past. So it's sort of a place where all the toys can come together. They don't allow bullies or fighting inside the village, or they kick you out.
Okay. What's the name of the village?
Circus Town.
Circus Town. So you're headed to Circus Town, got these batteries, medical mission. Michael, what is dangerous about this mission?
The danger, and we're imagining this is even beyond the fact that Mayor Murder Baby is coveting it.
Right.
I think that there is some crazy post-apocalyptic fantastical weather going on.
Okay.
Inspired by the namesake of this module, so to speak.
So we've got this weird, colored lightning that we see, crackling in the distance. It's kind of that sort of heat storm, heat sound that's going on, and so you are trying to get ahead of that front and stay out of its path. Stentor, Stephen mentioned that you're taking these batteries to Circus Town, that it's a medical mission, that there are people that need this. Who in particular? I mean, who's the person that, at least even if it's just for your crew or if it's for the group as a whole, who is the toy that really needs this, that you are desperately trying to help?
Oh, so I think at least for my crew there is, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there's the line of Legos that had the electronic motor, and you built like things with gears and stuff. I'm trying to remember. Technic, yes.
Yeah.
There is a Technic. We're gonna say it's a dinosaur. It's a Technic dinosaur that is very large and very complex, and kind of one of the leading Legos in our world. And he is out of batteries.
So the Technosaurus is the mayor of Circus Town, and he desperately needs, so you can keep his Lego-ish wisdom with the world.
Yeah,
I like that. Owen, which part of the machine is broken?
I want to say the lights on it, because playing with the storm and all that, it's real hard to see the road. So that's causing us to have a bit of difficulty.
Yeah, it has gotten dark. The most of the headlights have gone out on the vehicles. You have very little in the way of light, and this is not great terrain. Stephen, besides the weather, what is the current imminent threat to the convoy?
The the road that we're traveling on has a lot of it's flash flooding.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of rivers and divots and that kind of stuff, but the vehicles are having trouble to traverse.
So right now we've got that storm coming, the heat storm. We've got the headlights out, and there's a real risk of a kind of a washout. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Perfect. Then in the darkness, with no headlights, with this storm coming up, is where we're going to take up. After we take our break, we will come back in 5 or 6 minutes, and we will get rolling. All right. So as we come in, the cars. Let's assume, for the purposes that there are 4 cars. Since there are 4 of you, that makes sense. And you may be doubled up on vehicles or not. Uh, and the machine's rolling along. We hear the sound of the wood chippers going and that sawdust cloud behind you. It's gotten dark. In the distance, we can see that kind of purple and orange lightning that's flashing down. And the rain has pitter pattered and has started. And you can tell that it started in the distance, and water is coming down off of some high points down, rolling into where you're at. The problem is now that it is dark. And you've got a couple of choices here as you've been rolling along quickly, because you want to get as much distance as you can between yourselves and Mayor Murder Baby. You know that they were certainly looking after you, and they may have sent people on your trail. So you've got a couple of choices. It looks like you could try and continue on this lowland area that doesn't look too complex to navigate. Maybe between the flashes of lightning, you'll be able to see where you're going, but it runs more risk of that washout coming. Or you could try and navigate up a tricky set of paths to get to a higher point in the hopes that maybe you could get away from the water coming down. Maybe it wouldn't wash out from up there. Or you could try and figure out something to do with the vehicles, repair them, or some sort of other approach to this. So when we come in on the Vikings, on the particular vehicle that they are managing there, what is your thoughts on the next step?
So I think that Sven stands up and says, "We are Vikings. We are not afraid of the sea," and wants to push on forward through the lowlands that are filling up with water. And I think a few of the other Vikings start singing some Viking sea shanties, and Sven kind of like smacks them to shut up.
Okay. So the other 3 of you will hear that singing. Do you recognize what the singing of that sea shanties means? Does Pillar know what that implies about the Vikings' decisions in this?
Sounds like they're happy to do what they're about to do. I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but it sounds like they're happy to do what they're about to do.
It definitely looks to you like the Vikings are going to continue to press forward. What do you think? Do you want to try and speak to the others? Do you want to follow behind?
Going to follow behind, knowing that I'm one of the bigger toys here. I can handle the water a little longer than everyone else. So if I have to, I'm making plans for where I have to pull people out to try to get us in the cargo if I have to ford something as it comes up.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about you, my fine guildsman?
Oh, so sorry. I think that so the finger puppets are traveling in an old Fisher Price wooden bus.
Okay.
And I think that the owl understands enough about what's going on that the others are pressing forward. He says, all of us should follow together and we shouldn't get separated. And he tells the beaver, go out and start building up a dam to divert the water away from our travels.
That's interesting. So are you going to have the others wait, or I mean, they're going to press on with the vehicle while the beaver goes out to try and do this?
I think the best idea would be for the bus is going to push forward and get ahead of everyone.
Okay.
And then they'll drop the beaver off. He'll start building, and then the bus will pick up the rear.
That is an interesting idea. So what I think I want you to do then is we're actually kind of having you move up, trying to avoid, problems to get yourself into position. Does that seem like a right thing to do?
Yeah.
Like that's what we think. Why don't we have you roll run away?
Okay. What is run away?
Run away uses scrounge.
Okay. So I'm at a +1.
+1.
And I got a 7 + 1 is 8.
Okay. So I think that you can get up ahead of them, get yourself into position, with the beaver there. But I do think that you kind of have to get by some soft, muddy things. And I think that the bus, someone's going to need to help you get it out of the mud that you're at.
I see. The bus got stuck.
Bus got stuck. You haven't gotten washed out or anything. But you're going to do that. So let me have the beaver make his roll.
Okay.
Also, I should mention too that for purposes of one shots, everybody has a tie to other characters. Everybody's at +1 to everyone else for the purposes of this. And I'm going to say, just because it seems appropriate, that the beaver could have stuff to build a dam, that you're going to try and make a device and use up your stuff.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so make a device is essentially you're doing this yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just you. So you're going to be rolling with +0.
Okay. Ooh, that's a 10.
That is a 10. So on a 10+, it uses up any things you needed, which we established the beaver's materials there. And it gains 1 move. What do you think the move is going to be?
So I think that this dam is actually made out of old Tinker toys that have been strapped to the top of the bus.
Okay.
And I think the beaver loosens them and builds them and puts them together. But the move is actually to fall in place once things have passed.
Okay, so it'll be a move to essentially a classic move to protect the convoy as it goes past. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Bongo, do you have your own vehicle, or you share a vehicle with one of the others? What do you imagine?
Well, I think we all have our own separate vehicles. So
okay. Then what does Bongo's clown car look like?
Yes, exactly. I think that Bongo is driving a fire truck.
That makes sense. And what's Bongo's take on all of this?
So we've kind of established that Pillar's taking up the rear, right?
Following along.
And the Vikings are taking the front.
Ooh, yep.
So I think that I'm just sort of in the middle here.
Okay.
Torn between wanting to stay and help out, but also wanting to push forward.
So you're more set on just kind of following along, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In that case, then I think I'm going to give you the pleasure of rolling for the dam.
Okay.
So this is going to be a flat roll.
Let's do it. The dam got a 6.
The dam got a 6. So the convoy is most of the way past. The beavers kind of set up the last of that Tinker toy things and kind of run to the catch up to the bus. And now I assume the bus is kind of at the end. And we see it kind of holding. like animated movie Rats of Nim style, with the dam holding there for a bit, and then something else gives way, and you will see the water kind of rush past, and the bus is at the end, and it is made of wood, and the other three of you. The other three people in the convoy, you will see the bus get picked up by this wash of water, kind of lifted up, and it goes down this runnel off to the side, and it's just going.
You see at the windows on the bus, all the Philosophers Guild, they're like, oh.
Yeah, and the water is splashing up on them. They're getting soaked. The bus kind of lifts up and does this thing as it goes away. So let's come to Pillar. You were closest at that point. What do you want to do?
Yells for a couple of Vikings to take the wheel so that this doesn't potentially get washed away, and then proceeds to go down along the runnel to try to catch the bus. Since the Philosophers are smaller, he's hoping that he can get in there to get it, or if nothing else, if he could get ahead of it, he might be able to turn back into a bulldozer and push some dirt into the way for it to catch on.
So we see you rush over towards that, kind of go along against all that crackling of the lightning and stuff. This is eating up some time. The bus is going the dirty water. This is going to be you rolling strong arm, because this is going to be essentially push or pull, doing a physical act here.
All right, and that comes out to a 10.
That comes out to a 10. Tell me what that looks like. What is it that you do to save the bus from being washed out completely down into a set of drains?
He's going along and he sees a spot where if he transforms down, he's able to just push this bit of rock and dirt into the way and kind of push him off to a side channel of the runnel that will be able to pull the bus out eventually without having to roll it or flip it over or anything like that. So with a bit of a groan and his noisy engine going, he shifts down, his headlights come back on because those don't work when you're a person.
Right.
So he can see what he's doing, and he pushes the dirt into place just in time for it to slide in there.
They'll cut that off, and the bus will kind of beach onto the wet mud there. Vikings, do you keep pressing on, or do you stop to reconvene with this crisis?
Yeah, I think once we see that the bus has fallen out of the convoy, then we come to a stop, and I send Skullgrim out to check on things and see what's going on and report back.
It looks like right now the situation is with this water that you and the group are probably pressing on here in the dark is not going to be a viable solution. You're going to need to find some place to settle in, or find some way to give yourselves some better light here.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Bongo, you were going along. Caravan shifted. Got the pillar transforming. There's probably hear that kind of grinding sound as pillar makes that shift, but does manage to save the bus with the guildsman. What do you think, Bongo? Try to find some place or try to repair something? What do you think?
So I'm imagining like we kind of see like Bongo like riding on a ridge or something while everyone else is down here in the mud. And everything's just being lit like by the occasional lightning flash, and like out in the distance we can kind of see Murder Baby's armada, right? And I look back at the back of my truck, which has like this line of like batteries lined up, and and I like kind of look off into the distance where like towards this city. And I'm sort of like questioning what to do. I think that
think it through.
Yeah, I want to think it through.
Okay.
So I'm just going to.
So yeah, we've established that in the distance is the city. We've established that some of Mayor Murder Baby's people, or the hench persons, are probably out there, part of the armada out there. The 4 rocking horsemen of the apocalypse out there. Here they're off in the distance, and you're thinking this situation. So what is the fact that you're declaring here?
Something to our benefit here.
Think big.
Yeah. Right. I think that there is a defense force from the city that's prepared to kind of help fight off the forces of Murder Baby if we can just get close enough.
Okay.
Or if we can make some sort of signal, they can come and rescue us.
All right. Let's have you roll strong arm.
Okay. That's something I'm not very good at. And that is a failure.
That is a failure. So you will kind of look to that, and as you do, you realize that you're further away. You're more off course than you thought. Like, you go to look for the signs, or the lights of Circus Town in the distance. You're not seeing those. You somewhere along the line, when you guys are moving along in the dark, you got off of the path that you saw. But you will definitely hear the carrying sounds of one of those rocking horse riders. And while you won't see Circus Town, you do see another set of lights in definitely a different direction from that. Does that seem like a fair thing?
Yes. And I think that with these whipping winds, the part of mine that's damaged is my pointy hat sort of takes off and flies off into the wind. Yeah.
Goes off into the distance. And you get to mark hold right when you take damage. I can't remember if you have one of those. Yeah. Oh no, that's when you remember. You can actually damage yourself to do things. Okay. So let me assume for a moment that the convoy circles up, if I may, to discuss your next set of things as you get the bus out of the mud. Philosophers, are you still scared, or how do you play this off?
No, I think that as soon as Pillar kind of bulldozed up, this area and the bus kind of stabilized, I think there's a cheer that rises up from within the bus. Yay!
And so they're pretty calm. But yeah, the 4 of you can talk about what your next step is with that information that Bongo has provided.
Mm-hmm.
What say you, Pillar?
We don't know who they are, but we can't stay out in this from everything I'm seeing. So we approach, but be prepared for someone else who might be trying to take our cargo.
I think we have something precious to them. If they have lights, that means they need batteries.
Or does it mean they already have all the batteries they need if they've got their lights just running like that? And so then they won't worry about our batteries.
Oh, that's the unfortunate thing about batteries. They always run out. I just think we should be cautious.
No, I don't disagree about caution.
So, Bongo, do you think you could lead us in the direction where you saw the lights? It's not too far?
I'll do my best.
Okay, well, I think I'll try and talk to them then.
I'm assuming I'm talking to Shakespeare now.
Yeah.
Cool. So could I use one of these batteries that we have to turn on the lights in this fire truck, or are they damaged beyond repair?
Ooh, so it sounds to me like we've got a move there that essentially you want to try and jury rig. Right? You want to use some of these batteries, hopefully not using them up to be able to fix the lights.
That's the hope, yeah.
Okay. That is a scrounge roll, Bongo.
Okie dokie. Let's hope it goes slightly better this time.
Now I will stop and mention, because this is always a question in PBTA. The assisting mechanic works like this. It is help someone. When you help someone do something, you roll ties with that character. And then you get to pick things from a list. So that is the help move for this kind of game.
I did get a 9, so if the help move can add a +1, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I can help.
Okay. Then we assume that everybody has ties with each other, so go ahead and roll with a +1.
All right. God. Come on. All right, that's fine. And that's an 8.
Okay, so you get to pick one from the list. You can give them +1. You can take a consequence of failure on their next move for yourself. You can have nothing break as a result of your help, or someone else can help too.
I'll give the +1.
So, which of your crewmen gets hurt in the sort of the battery jury rigging here with Bongo's assist?
So I think this is Thorvald.
Okay.
And I think he kind of gets in the way of the electricity as we're putting the battery in there, and it melts him into a solid piece, so that he can no longer move his parts, his little Lego arms and legs.
But he's still conscious. He's still there, just not mobile. Or is he?
Yeah, he's still conscious, but he's not mobile.
I'm so cold, Captain.
We're gonna have to.
So cold.
We're gonna have to carry him around.
Pick him up and load him very carefully up onto that.
Yeah. We set him up on the front of the car and give him his spear so that he can look menacing, even though he can't actually move anymore.
That sounds great. Let's come to you, Bongo. Bongo, you get to on jury rig. You get to pick 3 from the list of 4 items under jury rig, which are successfully repair or modify the part, gain a move, it doesn't use up your stuff, it doesn't draw unwanted attention.
Ooh, well, I definitely think it will draw unwanted attention. So
okay,
I'll successfully repair this part and then give it a move.
Okay,
and then it's not using up too much of this battery power that we're trying to transport.
Yeah, you find one of these watch batteries. These little ones are able to kind of modify to put into this, so it doesn't use up the rich, delicious, the most tasty of AA's, the most important of the batteries. They are safe, and you get the lights on, and it will illuminate your path. And now, if you want, you can head towards those lights. You definitely will hear that echoing in the distance of the rocking chair, stop, like kind of turn and reposition. That carries on the wind. Now you could try and press on through the Badlands here with now that you have headlights to get ahead of this storm, even though you're way off course. Or you could try to get to where those lights are, get to some kind of safety, get to some kind of defense right now. What do you think?
Sounds like the plan is to get to the lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you will begin to roll forward through here. Tell me, what is the sort of first natural obstacle that lies in your path? The crew, my Viking friends. What's the first thing that you have to overcome?
So I think there is a stretch of like brush, like bushes and tangled vines and thorns and things.
Okay, so that's mini path. Pillar, when you guys come to this brush that's in your way, how is it that Pillar helps get you through that?
Pillar's going to rely upon that whole construction toy ethos and just push a path through, again down in the bulldozer, and just dig in and try to break up the path for the cars to get through.
Oh, and here's that bit where you have to transform again.
Yeah.
Again in the short time, and you're like, but yeah, you will push through the brush, get through, make a break on that. What's the next physical obstacle on this path you're on, this transit?
We come across basically what looks like partially buried shopping carts in kind of a labyrinth. We can see through to where we want to go, but we know we can't go straight.
Yes, it's a maze of these shopping carts washed down over, some of them rusted, some of them still with that metal on them, various bits of bent plastic and stuff. You're on the ground looking up at them. How do the Philosophers Guild, find the solution to getting through this labyrinth?
So since this is a fine mesh of a shopping cart, the Philosophers Guild, they pull the bus up right next to it, and they all climb out. They start climbing up. And the owl tells them all to look, and Dickens memorizes the maze and tells them all, now we have to turn left here. Don't take that path. This is the right way to get out. So
excellent. So you kind of cut the Gordian knot of the labyrinth by climbing above it to read the pattern there, and then Dickens comes with his voice, and of course Dickens a great orator, I assume, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so his voice will carry through here, and in the distance you can still hear the rocking chairs. Of course, now they're having to hit the brush, and they're going to hit this labyrinth here. And what's the next physical obstacle in your path?
I think that as we exit from the shopping carts, there's a cat right there, and it hisses at us as if to bar our way.
Excellent. And this cat, it's a feral toy cat, with the Mr. Scruffy on there. Some toys go out into the wilderness, and they get into their role too much. So Bongo, how is it that you deal with this? Get the group past this feral cat?
Yeah, I think Bongo pretends to pull, he pulls out a little bell out of his pocket and pretends to throw it, and the cat sort of turns, but then we see Bongo still has the bell and just sort of flourishes and puts it back in his pocket.
So Bongo uses his excellent mime work to trick the cat. It sees the motion, and of course it can't help it. Its instincts are to chase after that when the bell gets thrown. And you guys will burn low grade rubber to get past this. And now in the distance, you can see that there are a handful of these lights. It looks like the lights are maybe by some kind of entryway. It looks like a building that's smallish, human size, but pretty decent size here. It looks like there may be some like walls or structures outside of it, and like it's definitely occupied kind of thing. But what is the obstacle that lies between you and getting to those walls, Bongo?
Yeah. I think that one of Murder Baby's soldiers has cut us off at the pass.
What kind of soldier?
I'm thinking it's like one of those it's like a toy alligator pull toy that, like, you know, a toddler would use.
Yeah, with the wooden clacker.
Yes.
And more than anything, it's not here to necessarily stop you. It's trying to it's kind of roll forward to try and draw noise and show where you're at. My Viking friends, what is it that you do to get past the clacking alligator?
Okay. So I think that that a bunch of the Vikings run out to either side of it, and like one will pop up and, like, you know, wave his shield, and then one from the other side will pop up and just totally confuse it, and it'll like lunge towards one and then realize the other's over there and lunge in the other direction, and just keep it totally confused and distracted till everyone can get past.
Absolutely, kind of spin it around. You know, it's almost chasing its own tail by the end of this, and probably gets its little pull string caught around itself, and you will rush back and get over to the cars and then head towards this area. As you draw close, you will see what looks like a set of walls, these big plastic bricks that have been kind of set up with a kind of a makeshift gate there. And it looks like it's kind of, covering up a way to go into this structure. And it definitely looks like there's a figure atop the gate that is kind of looking down and has seen the lights coming. But they have not opened the gates. As you draw forward, you will see this white furred figure standing there, who will kind of look down at you from atop it and kind of looks around to see what's going on. And he'll say, "What do you want?"
So the Philosophers Guild's bus will kind of roll up, and Shakespeare will kind of get out and crawl out on top. He'll say, "We are here to look to flee from the danger that comes forth. Will you protect us, or will you be a partner to Mayor Murder Baby?"
So, does it sound like you're trying to make friends here?
Make friends? Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing. Or are you trying to bargain with him to get in? What do you think this is?
To me, this sounds more like make friends. If that fails, then someone else could say, "Well, we could give you batteries," and that would be a bargain, right?
Okay, let's start with the make friends. See if you can demonstrate something that will catch their eye. So let's have you roll smile.
Okay, I'm good at that.
Sure.
I got a 6.
All right. That's not good. He will say, Mayor Murder Baby's on your tail? Not sure I want to let you in then. So, no.
But we could help. And I think Shakespeare, shaken, will turn to the others and say, show them what you've got, boys.
Well, let's look. Let's turn to the others. As the Philosophers Guild kind of falls a little flat, negotiating with the Bumble, and even as this is going on, you see the Bumble kind of look up and pull like a partition over its head as the storm starts rolling in. What do the others do?
So, I think, hang on, I'm checking the moves list here to say where I want to. Could we challenge him to some sort of a game or a contest to let us in?
That is certainly a possibility. I think someone would have to. Let's see here. I think someone would probably have to bribe or lead a cheer to get them engaged in that.
Okay, well, I think the Vikings could lead a cheer.
Okay.
Let's sing some of their Viking songs to change his mood there.
Let's have you roll smile,
which is actually what I'm really bad at. So
the Philosophers Guild will help.
Oh, I need more than just a little help. So I rolled a 4 and I have a -1.
So that's a 3.
So I'm probably upsetting him pretty badly with our Viking song.
And he will put his hands to his ears. Oh, what is that? Oh my God, what is that sound? Oh, my head. And he clearly just absolutely hates the song that you're singing. Like it's just and even as that is happening, as you're trying to do this, Bongo Pillar, you will look back and you will see this rocking horse come into view. And you will see this rocking horse there. It's a large rocking horse. And the flash of the lightning will illuminate the rider, and you will see the cold, dead shark eyes of the rider. And this thing has no mouth. And you see it just looks at you and it will point. And it slaps the side of the horse and it begins to ride for you. This is Goodbye Kitty. This is the first rocking horseman of Mayor Murder Baby, and he or she, we don't know, is coming for you. Pillar, what do you do?
Looks over to Bobo and goes, try to convince them to let us in, and then rolls out on his tread, raising himself up to his full height, and just begins to stare down Goodbye Kitty, and with as loud as he can, with his engine roaring, goes, turn around.
Oh, okay. Let's have you look fierce. Can you stare down the first of these riders?
All right, and that is an 8.
That is an 8. So the rolling up, and all of you have looked kind of small to it because it's significantly bigger than you. But then you roll forward and rise up, and it hesitates. You see it look around, kind of try to judge, and you see it. And it begins to pull back like it's going to need more riders. So it backs away, clearly not giving up, but waiting for aid. Bongo.
So I have a move called Bossy, which involves trying to convince someone that your way is best. So I'll turn to this abominable snowman. Listen, buddy.
Please stop singing.
We've tried to do this the easy way, the nice way, but if murder babies horsemen catch up to us, then once they're done with us, they're just going to move on to you. The only way we're going to make it through this is if we stick together.
And Pillar throws in to help, going, they've already seen us here. If they don't find us outside, they'll look for us inside.
Bongo. Let's have you roll Bossy.
Ooh, that's a 7.
Okay. So on a 7 to 9, they do what you want, but you must give them something. What are you offering them?
Must give them something similar to the bribe move.
And bribe moves is like a valuable secret, owing them a favor, something of value, basically.
So, I can tell that these folks are outsiders in some way. Otherwise, why wouldn't they be in Circus Town, right? So, I'm not sure yet what they're hiding, because I have a feeling that they're hiding something, but
Right.
I'll say, look, we have friends in Circus Town. If you can get us there safely, I'm sure they'd be willing to offer you something in return.
He says, okay, but it's your funeral. And he will pull open this gate, lifts it up with big bumble strength, lifts it up, and he will say, go on in. I'll drop the gate behind you.
Well, this isn't ominous at all.
and the four of you can roll through again. In the distance, you'll just see the cold, dead-eyed face of Goodbye Kitty. She just stares, unblinking. And you can roll through, and Bumble will drop the gate. And you'll move past into this kind of building where you can see there are like broken shelves and things that have been built up. And it looks like there's a little toy town here. There's a broad kind of avenue, like a main, like pathway between these broken shelving units. You can see little eyes at various windows and things like that. It looks like there's a big plastic toy, like aircraft carrier at the far end. And you can see that there's some stuff built up around that. There's some lights around here, and the rest of the sort of the town outside of that is in darkness. And it definitely looks kind of split into two halves. You've got a left half and a right half. You will come in, roll in, and you will see this figure come ambling up to where you're at. Sort of a rubbery figure. You can see that he's missing an arm, and it's kind of just kind of taped up where it was with that kind of yellow tape on it. Got this weird red leotard on. His other arm kind of droops, and he's like, "Oh, newcomers."
Yeah, we're just here for the night.
Oh, you're just here for the night.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're traveling across the wastelands.
Well, then you must come with me. We must get you someplace quiet soon, quickly.
Okay.
And he kind of looks you all over, like he kind of definitely does an appraising eye for you, and goes, "I have a tavern of sorts. You can come and stay there."
So, like, I'm imagining we're like kind of following this creepy guy.
Yeah, he'll move you through the town. You know, the buildings. You see people looking through out these windows, and he'll kind of break off. He kind of takes a wary glance up at the aircraft carrier, and then moves you off into one of these side shopping lanes.
So I'll turn to Pillar, and I'll say, "Is it just me, or was he looking at us like we were a full turkey dinner?"
I definitely get an appraising eye from him. I'm also concerned as to what might be on that aircraft carrier. I'm looking for nose cones for any jets or anything. I want to make sure I'm not getting into that kind of trouble here.
Yeah, there's plenty of space around here that could be flying around.
Or one of those quiet copter ones or something like that. No,
Yeah.
I don't want. So I'm getting a little extra nervy looking around, keeping a close eye on everything.
He will move you to a big cardboard box that he has set up as a makeshift tavern. He will, say you can roll your vehicles on in, park them if you want, but you need to turn off the wood chippers.
Awful kind of you. And I'll kind of like hope that he offers a name.
They used to call me Stretch, but I don't stretch no more. And he kind of lumbers. Walk this way. And he'll lumber in. Big box. It's got a whole set of shoe boxes that are stacked one on top of each other with little doorways cut out for rooms.
Are there any other customers in here?
No. You seem to be his sole clientele at the moment.
Busy night here, Stretch?
Yes. You're the most customers I've had in some time.
Oh, must be tough out here. You ever think about looking for a new location, maybe with some more clientele, like Circus Town, perhaps?
Well, we stay here. People don't go out. We're not supposed to. We work here. We do things here. That's what we do. So we're not supposed to leave. And besides, there's the burning trench between here and Circus Town. That's what they say.
So what kind of work do you do here?
We clean things up.
Okay.
Kind of looks at you.
Clean is good.
Yeah, we clean things up. We make things clean.
Can you fix things?
Yeah, we fix things too. You need something fixed, and he kind of looks more praisingly, not at you, but definitely at Pillar and the Seabrick crew.
Well, a friend of ours had a bit of a brush with the electrical stuff here. Think you could help him out?
Let me see. Show me. He kind of looks over at the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Sven, what do you think? Is he getting the right vibe here, or?
Yeah, I think that Thorvald is kind of in the back, and he kind of is like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine."
Thorvald, don't let your Viking pride get the better of you. Come on.
And Stretch will amble over to where you're at, and he will look at Thorvald and he'll go, "Oh, he's not mint at all, is he?"
And Thorvald looks like he wants to shake his head no, but he can't.
He looks in at the rest of you, looks at the captain. He says, he's too far gone for what we can do. Others of you we can clean up, can make you pristine.
Well, that's very kind, but I like to consider myself a bit of a classic, a vintage, if you will. So,
did you say vintage?
I suppose that's a nice way of saying
over to you. What kind of vintage are you talking?
Well, I'm one of a kind. I'd say never seen another like me.
Oh. Well, you and your companions should turn in for the night. Get some rest.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a half bad idea. I'll kind of cheerily say and walk off to my own little door.
Okay. What about the rest of you? I haven't heard from the guild for a bit here. What's the guild's take on all of this?
So I think the guild is kind of wary, and they're just kind of watching this guy to see what he's doing. I think after does he leave us to go to bed?
After when he kind of is certain that you are kind of turning in for the night, I will leave you to it, and he will head out and kind of shut the box's door behind him.
So I think the Philosophers Guild, they all kind of retire except for a couple of them. And I think the owl, goes to Bongo and Pillar and the crew and says, "I don't trust this one. Something's going on in this town and we don't know what it is. We should keep a watch and make sure nothing goes missing. They don't know about the valuable batteries we have, but they might soon."
I'm concerned that they may want more than the batteries.
We only have so much to give. I think the owl sends out the fox and sends the fox finger puppet out to go search.
Okay.
See what kind of information he can find.
So let's do the fox. And then let's come back and see what the others are doing. Does that seem fair?
Perfect.
So you want to Fox goes out and wants to make their way around and figure out what's going on. Does that seem like a reasonable statement of that?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
He's going to sneak around and see what he can find out from the others.
So one of the interesting things in this game is that there is no study move of any kind, with the exception of you making declarations or you looking for particular stuff or things. So I'm going to kind of narrate a little bit, and then I might ask you a question or two. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds fine. And if it would be easier to stay within the game, I could go looking for stuff.
No, actually, I think that what the game encourages us to do is that we do narrate, that there is no study move. You go to look, you find things.
Okay.
There's no problem with that. So I think we get this montage of the fox, and the fox is adorable, as we've seen from the finger puppet there, kind of poking around sideways, out of corners from behind walls. We see the little head, and then pops out and such, and then moves to another area. And you will move along, and you will see that there is an area back behind, down these avenues and back behind, where there are people working on cleaning, like clothing, like the little outfits and things like that, like dresses and things, and they're resewing those things and all of that. And they're kind of doing that kind of operation, and you will see that there are clearly guards that are overseeing their work. Do you want to continue on?
Yes.
Further in?
I think I'll go away from the guards, but further in. That's right. Yes.
Okay. And you will move further on, and you can see that they have the kind of repair stations that you've seen in other places, pieces and parts for toys and dolls and things like that, but they're much better sorted than you've seen in other places, and you don't see any patients. Like, there's nobody here actually undergoing repairs. There's just the bins and things.
Okay.
And yes?
No, go ahead.
You'll move further along, closer up to that aircraft carrier. And it's big. And I don't know if you've ever saw the G.I. Joe 6-foot-long aircraft carrier. Here is it in mint condition, beautifully displayed here. And when you kind of move up close to it, and you see there's clearly back behind it maybe another, bigger, like it might even be like some sort of palace or something behind it. But the thing that strikes you is when you get back here and the lights kind of catch here, because the lights catch onto finally the kind of the darkness sort of outside back behind, and you will see the walls of here, and you will see the light catches on the plastic on the fronts of these boxes, and you will see stacks and stacks of boxes and clamshells and things, and you will see all of these toys in their original packaging with the little, binder things, the little wire clips to keep them in place. Yeah. You will see that they are all bound in there. You'll see Lego sets where there's that one little cutout and there's the one little plastic figure to show it, where the figure's at it kind of looking at like, and yeah, you will see this collector's den, a mint condition prison.
And I think the fox, you see like a little, fluff of dirt dust as it turns around, and you see the little tail flop in the air, and it heads back.
All right. Now I'm going to have you roll, because I think at this point you are running away.
Yes.
Because you don't want to get caught here. So I think I want you to roll scrounge.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come back to the others and see what they are up to.
Okay, I rolled a 6 and my scrounge is 1, so I got a 7.
So I do think we see you running along, and then somebody steps in front of you. And we'll cut from you. So Bongo, Pillar, Captain Sven, and company, the Fox leaves and is gone for quite a while. What do you three, any of you want to do anything?
I think we've got now Vikings stationed all around the place, like watching from every angle.
I'm testing to see if the door's locked.
Now, you do kind of push on it. It is locked, but it is like locked that nothing that you couldn't get past. You can certainly push on that. And Bongo?
I think I've scrounged up a couple of nickel nip bottles from behind the counter, and I'm just maybe coming up to Pillar with one. I don't know why. At first, I was a little nervous around this guy, but he's been awfully generous to us. Don't you think?
Yeah. But I can't quite shake the feeling something's wrong.
When's the last time you were clean, Pillar? Look at you. You've been shoveling dirt for the past who knows how long. You're covered in spots and stains. Wouldn't you like a nice wash?
Yeah, I remember shortly after I woke up thinking I needed to get clean. And that's why I'm miscolored on my backside. I'm a little concerned. It may be fine. I know that people keep telling me I'm looking for trouble that isn't always there. But I'm just nervous about all this.
I think like I rubbed my arm where there's this tattoo, and it's obviously like a magic marker, that's been so. Say, maybe it's time for a fresh start. Maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to get a nice scrub down. Move on.
Are you thinking of staying put? Or are you thinking about finishing the job? Because we're sure going to get filthy if we keep push on to Circus Town.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the way of the world.
Yeah. I'm just, just the way you're talking. I'm just want to know if you're thinking about staying put because you like the atmosphere, or if you're thinking you're gonna see this through and then we'll drop you off coming back this way.
I can't say I enjoy the ambiance in this town. It's a little too drab. I like the lights and the music in town, but I'm just wondering what you were feeling.
I want to get the job done, and then I have a feeling I'm going to have a more thorough discussion with the horseman I had to talk down. That one's not liable to forget that, so that's kind of weighing on my mind.
Well, if anybody's going to knock that kitty off her high horse, it's going to be you.
Oh, here's hoping. Here's hoping. But thank you for the drink, and hopefully everything turns out fine when the fox comes back.
Dun, dun.
cut from that to the Vikings. You're seated there in different places, watching that sort of keeping an eye on the darkness, and you will definitely see movement around. Like there are figures skulking in the darkness that are moving around the building, around kind of into position. What do you want to do?
I think that Harold is going to decide to go out and see if he can get a little closer and see who these are that are moving around.
Absolutely. So let's see. You can move out into the area and kind of skulk around, and you will see these figures of varying size. A couple of them quite big, a couple of them small, but they all are kind of moving and turning and hovering on these circles.
Okay. Are any of them Legos?
No, none of them are Legos.
Okay.
You don't see any Legos here.
Okay.
And they definitely seem to be moving in that way, that they're like surrounding the box that you are in. You'll just hear them move along. You'll kind of hear this weird sound as they move.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
So I think that I think that Harold is a bit of a risk taker.
Okay.
Doesn't always want to play it safe here. So I think that Harold is gonna get up close to one of them and is going to try to look fierce. Is going to try to just jump out at them and like yell his war cry.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll strong arm.
Okay, my strong arm is 1. Where are the old dice there? All right, so that's 6, 7, 8. That's 9.
That is 9. So you will kind of jump out, and you will see this enormous figure on its base there, and it kind of looks at you and steps back, and you will hear it step back, and you'll hear the clicking sound, like the sound of the clicking and approaching, like as these figures start coming in. And you will see just this massive number of various sizes of these hero clicks moving around into position. But it does stop and step back and looks and is trying to judge whether there are more of you with them or not. What do you do?
So I think Harold is probably a little bit frozen in fear from seeing all these things coming towards him. And Captain Sven sees this happening and yells out, "Harold, what are you doing? Get back in here."
And we can see Harold has enough room to fall back even as these hero clicks approach. And I think that's the scene we see there, as we're going to be stopping that on that particular note, as the hero clicks. They're not toys. They're game pieces. Come in to surround the building. And meanwhile, we see the fox, like someone pulls like a little hood off from the fox, and you will hear this voice. This woman says, "You're in a very dangerous place. You shouldn't have come here. They want to make everyone mint." And she'll kind of moves around and she looks and she comes up and she says, "But I can help you." And that's where we're going to stop for tonight.
Awesome.
How fun.
All right.
I hope that was okay. I have a bunch of things here, so I'm improvising off of that in the play. So
that was great.
We'll deal with Collector Town in exchange for Crushing Tet. Yes. And we'll take that up next time. I usually with a two shot. I usually do the debrief at the end of the second session. So we won't do it tonight. What I will do is I'll make sure we stop and we check in at the beginning of session 2. And see if there's anything anybody definitely wants to hit or anything like that. Michael, will you be able to join us for session 2?
If there's an open spot, I think I can move things around on my calendar, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it won't be a problem. The person who dropped today is somebody who's dropped like a couple of times before at the last minute on me. So I'm just I will get a hold of you on that.
Okay,
but
just let me know.
Thank you all very much. I do like Threadbare and goofing around with this. And I love the characters. So I'm going to stop the recording here.
All right.